everybody. So today we're going to talk about possible fame indicators in the natal chart, or possible indicators for being known for something. That's probably the way that I would rather put this, because fame means different things to different people, and there are also different types of fame, right? I mean, you can be famous within what you do. You can be famous on like the world stage. You can be notorious. There are a lot of different ways to think about fame. So we're going to talk about some things you can look at in the natal chart. These are just possibilities, just ideas. This is by no means a comprehensive list of things. And I also don't want anybody to walk away watching this thinking, oh, I have a couple of these things that she mentioned, I'm going to be famous. Not necessarily. You've got to take the whole thing into account. But these are some things that may lend themselves to being known for something or being famous. And I wanted to make a video about this because this is something that comes up a lot. I noticed this on different subreddits, this question. I've noticed it other places too. People do ask questions about this. So, and it's like in relation to their own chart. Am I going to be famous, or what have you? So I figured it was probably a good idea to do a video about this. Okay. So when we're talking about fame, being known, let's assume it's, it's a more public thing, right? There is a publicness to being famous or being known. So that would automatically make me think of the 10th and the 11th houses. 10th house is career, and it's your reputation, it's, all of those kinds of things. And then the 11th house is groups. So groups of people. So either of those houses probably do play into the fame thing a little bit, at least a little bit. We're talking planets in those houses. If you got like the sun in the 10th, sun in the 11th, that may lend itself towards you being known for something. Again, that is not universal, but it could. Or having, multiple planets in the 11th house, multiple planets in the 10th house, not necessarily a stellium, but just, like a triple conjunction or just multiple planets in either of those houses might lend itself to that. Now, also the ruler, if we're talking about like being famous for, say, creativity, such as, being like known for being famous for being like an artist or an actor or something along those lines, you would definitely want to bring the 5th house into the equation. The 5th house is creative self-expression, the way we play. So, having like the ruler of the 5th house in the 10th, ruler of the 5th house in the 11th, ruler of, or even the ruler of the 10th or the 11th houses in the 5th, planetary ruler. So like, let's say you had the sun, or sorry, not the sun. Let's say you had Leo on the cusp of the 10th, on this cusp of the 10th house. And then the sun was in the 5th, that would be the planetary ruler of the 10th house in the 5th. Something like that. Again, that on its own is not, I don't think, enough to necessarily say someone is going to be famous, but it might lend itself to somebody, having a reputation for being creative, having a reputation for creatively expressing themselves, that kind of thing, with the ruler of the 10th and in the 5th, which, for something like acting or art or what have you, makes sense. Now also, having Leo or Libra on the cusp of the 10th or the 11th house. Leo is vivacious and it's bold and it it wants to express itself that way. So having Leo on the cusp of the 10th house might lend itself to somebody having a reputation functioning that way. Leo midheavens or Leo on the cusp of the 10th house, depending on what house system you use, it might lend itself towards fame. Libra on the cusp of the 10th house, this person might seem charming, they might be popular, well liked, those kinds of things, which can also lead to fame in a sense. Libra on the cusp of the 11th house groups of people might find these people charming, or they might be popular with groups. Leo, these people might lead groups, or really stand out in groups, be bold in groups, all of which can lend itself to notions of fame or being known for something. Now, let me see. Okay, planets conjunct the midheaven. If you have a planet conjunct your midheaven, that is what's needing to be expressed, right? The planet is what? Through, 10th house areas of life. Or, well, I guess that depends. If you're not using Placidus, I'm going to pretend like you're using Placidus here, but if you're not, this might be a little different. But, or something like that. If you're using whole signs, this might not apply so much with the example I'm going to use. But, let's say you have the moon on the cusp of the on the cusp of the 10th house or the midheaven, you might be, what's needing to be expressed is like emotions. Let's just go with that. There are a lot of things the moon could be, but emotions. You might be, your emotions might play into how you're known. This could even be like something like acting or creativity in a way. I have noticed, I don't have like a percentage, but I have noticed that there are some celebrities that do tend to have the moon conjunct the midheaven. Sun conjunct the midheaven. These people, like, their sense of self clearly wants to be seen. Now, there are things that could throw this off. If Chiron happened to be conjunct the sun, right, and both of those are conjunct the midheaven, that could make things very different. So you really do have to take everything into account. But planets conjunct the midheaven might show the what is needing to be expressed through career, through reputation, through the public spheres of life. So I would definitely take note of that in any aspects that planet makes. Now, also let's talk about the nodes for a second. South node in, say like the 10th or the 11th houses. I would also throw Pluto in, because Pluto can kind of function like the South node. Or it does function kind of like the South node. There are some slight differences, but it functions in a similar way. If you have Pluto and or the South node in the 10th or the 11th houses, you might be looking at coming from a previous lifetime where you were known for something. This could be actual like worldly fame. This could be, just being known in the industry in which you worked, or, being notorious for something. It depends, but and it also depends on what sign the South node is in, what aspects it's making, all of those kinds of things. The planetary ruler of the South node, let's say you've got the South node in the 10th, the planetary ruler of the South node happens to fall on the 11th, the 5th, the 1st, things like that. You might be looking at somebody who from a previous lifetime did have some kind of fame or being known for something. Because when we come into this lifetime, the South node is what is comfortable. It's also possible that that these people could be known in this lifetime as well. Now, obviously, known for something. Obviously, the North node is what you want to move into. That doesn't mean that people that say have the South node and or Pluto, right, in the 10th or the 11th houses or something like that. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't be known in this lifetime, or that they can't be known. It just, you want to move into the Pluto polarity point. You want to move into the North Node. So there needs to be, a lot of the times there needs to be a balance found. Not a complete rejection of the South Node or Pluto, but moving into the, like, learning to balance. A lot of the time it's about balance. Every once in a while it is a complete rejection that's needed, but a lot of the times it is a balance. So people with the South Node and Pluto or Pluto in the 10th or the 11th houses might find that being known is more comfortable for them. They might in some way. Now, people that have the North Node in the 10th through the 11th houses, these people may not be as comfortable with that concept. That would put their South Node in the 4th or the 5th. But these people are needing to move into the more public spheres of life, or the more known spheres of life, if you will. That doesn't mean that everybody with a North Node in a North Node in the 10th or the 11th houses needs to be famous or needs to be known. Same thing with people that have the South Node in the 10th or the 11th houses. It doesn't mean that they necessarily were famous or known. But people with the North Node in the 10th or the 11th houses do have a need to put themselves out there in some way. That doesn't necessarily mean fame, but to put themselves out there with the public, with groups. There is a need to integrate those ideas into their life this time around. Let me see if I missed anything. No, I think that's pretty good. But again, this is not a comprehensive list. And you would want to take the whole chart into account. You would always want to take it all into account. Everything. Aspects made, everything. Make sure to take it all into account, especially if you're looking at the chart from such a specific, because this is more of a specific thing to look for. Definitely take the entire thing into account. Anyway, I'm gonna get going. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can find us at Let's Fuck with Astrology. I'm at Saturn Season Astrology on Instagram. Natalie is at Apaterno Astrology on Instagram. If you want to like or subscribe or whatever the fuck people do with videos on YouTube, you can find us by searching for Let's Fuck with Astrology in the YouTube search bar. If you do the Reddit thing, come join us on the subreddit Let's Fuck with Astrology. And if you're interested in the star cards, go to letsfuckwithastrology.com/star-cards. Okay, y'all. I'll see y'all later.